walk into it right now, and if there's ever a situation where you want a game going at 1.5 speed, this is it, friends. It is Bravo versus Bravo. Jesse Hudak versus Nicholas Santa. Anathos? And look, I know what you're saying out there, but this is the absolute dichotomy of super fast-paced, punch you in the face type of Flesh and Blood into the more slow it down. We got a plan. I'll see you next Christmas when this happens. But ultimately, it's Bravo versus Bravo. And the immediate differences that I see here is tectonic plating versus the tunic.
Yeah, it's really interesting, actually. As a Bravo player, so I know you play a lot of Bravo. How do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel like tunic versus the tech plating?
Well, the tunic here is, if you were running Sledge of Anvilheim, the old school mentality used to be, this was pre-Vambrace in certain cases, but it used to be that in the mirror you want to go with the Sledge, and basically it's like block, and every, on the turns when you block 2 cards, or pitch 2 cards, send the Sledge, pitch 2 cards, send the Sledge. With the tunic, it was every third turn I could block 3 cards and use the tunic to swing with Sledge, and that's where the advantage gains. In this matchup, I am very fascinated by this. However, in certain thought process here is that you can have your tunic online, and these big attacks, for example, like Starstruck, you can pitch 2 blues, use your tunic, and you're no longer having to anticipate by having to have pitched to a seismic earlier. Ultimately, what you're giving up here as well is the fact that, tech plate blocks for 2 and then 1, and that is a massive help when dominate attacks come in here. I am more so somebody who would lean towards tech plate in this particular matchup, because it's just also, if you're holding 2 blues in hand, how are you going to get your Anathos to 6?
Yeah, and from Nicholas, we just saw a turn where he's just like, hey, I'm just going to activate my tech plating and then pass the turn.
There's always the option if you pitch to dominate Bravo. That's certainly one way to do it. But if you have an opportunity to pitch to a Seismic Surge, it's better value on a subsequent turn where maybe you find something like a 4-cost Choke Slam, a 4-cost any attack, frankly, and being able to pitch 1 blue to send 8 is a great advantage here. So, again, it's going to be hammers aplenty here. This is going to be a game of patience, a game of resource management, and one card you're going to see pitched a lot is exactly what we saw there, which is Macho Grande. That is a card that you very much want to lean on as late game threat, and here's one way to go ahead and create some significant potential offense, which is a Zealous Belting. Now, there is a Seismic Surge in the pitch zone.
Yes. I think maybe he's just using that as this is the resource from Seismic Surge.
Yes.
We see the Zealous Belting answered by a nice little Fate Foreseen here. And I think this is going to be the cadence we see for this match, right? And we've seen it already. It's like, hey, here's an attack, here's a defense reaction. Hey, here's another attack, here's a defense reaction. And they're just going to match attacks to defense reactions for quite a while. And here, once again, here's an attack. I'm going to see your attack with my defense reaction.
So this is a game of erosion as well, because it's not necessarily just about getting your opponent's equipment and running through that to cover on-hits or breakpoints and dominate effects. It's also a matter of keeping track of, okay, I've seen a Fate Foreseen. My thought is that there are 3. I've seen a Sink Below, obviously there's going to be 3. Oh, you're playing staunch responses. There's probably 2 of those floating around or something like that. So in the process of this, you are also trying to chip away at all the nastiness. And we're going to go ahead and give up 3 cards here to the Starstruck, which comes in for 10. So 1 is going to leak here. If there's one thing that Bravo does well, pretty much the lion's share of the cards are going to be blocking for 3.
Yeah. Guardian just in general, very, very good at blocking and very good. It's like we saw a fight with a whole bunch of tiny little attacks. Now it's going to be a lot of blocking and then big attacks, right? Instead of seeing 8 attacks, we're going to see attacks that come in for 8 or more in a lot of cases.
Now, the old school Oldham mirrors, those were absolutely,
Don't remind me.
And people might be getting shades of what that is over here. The difference is that there's no Crown of Seeds.
Right.
There's no Rampart on this particular matchup either, so there's going to be a lot more opportunity to hit breakpoints, to create awkwardness, and to erode your opponent's life total. But beyond that, The built-in dominate effect
Yes.
for Bravo is a way to just guarantee that you are either getting equipment, a D-react, or you're converting for damage, and ultimately that's kind of what you want to do. Bravo has that over Oldhim, whereas Oldhim was perfectly content saying, no problem, you're just not going to get any damage through, and I'm going to hammer you or I'm just going to pass the turn. For Bravo here, there are going to be occasions where a big attack is going to be dominated. You might take the hammer for 6 in order to dominate a 10 or a crippling crush or something. So trading damage is certainly something that will cross these players' minds, as right now a Thunderquake is what is sent his way. Is that a red too, which is a 10 attack on the base?
Yeah, nice little Thunderquake there. Using it for its attack, not for its heave effect, which is not a common effect in Flesh and Blood. Well, maybe we'll see use of that heave effect later, but for now it's just more hammer time, right?
Might as well.
Yeah, coming in for 4. I mean, Anothos is a very nice weapon. Or like Bravo is one of the original 4 heroes, Anothos one of the original 4 weapons, and it's Old Faithful basically.
It's a great hammer. I mean, all right, well, I mean, it's a great hammer. Of course, it's a great hammer. Well, it's a great weapon.
It is a great hammer. I mean, let's be honest.
I wouldn't use this to hang a picture on the wall necessarily. But ultimately, it's a card that it's a hammer. Sorry, well, let's take this back. I'm in Vegas. I'm in vacation mode. The Anothos is a weapon for a hero like Bravo, whereas everybody else might think, okay, well, Kodachis do work. This is a built-in 6.
Yeah.
It is for longer games. It's a great thing for you to lean on when nothing else is working out. In worst case, it's a pitch 3 to send a breakpoint 4. That's still pretty good against certain heroes that might be outpacing you on aggression. If you're able to maintain cards and send a 6, that is still getting work done. And that's why Anothos is, in my opinion, one of the best weapons in the game. You hear about Rosetta Thorn, obviously, but this is something that Guardians are so happy to have. They block out, and they still have an outlet to send back significant damage. It
is an absolute workhorse, and we're going to see it used a lot in this game, right? Like, this is mostly like, hey, I'm going to block a bunch, and then I'm going to attack with Anothos. One thing to note, like, if you're not super familiar with Flesh and Blood, Anothos costs 3 to attack with, right? But for Bravo, whose majority of his deck is blue, that 3 is, not a lot at all. I love this. I love this.
Aha! Aha! Yeah.
Yeah, well, I also have a sigil. This is just going to be an instant that lets them gain some life, right? If it's the red one, it's 3 life, and then it goes down according to color. But, just a nice little life gain there.
I do want to just throw a little bit of attention on the tunic. I don't know if the tunic has been used much, if any, at all so far in this game.
Just chilling.
But it's just there. It's waiting for something. There are 7 attacks in the deck, like Macho Grande, like Starstruck.
Yep.
Those are definitely opportunities as we talk about Starstruck. Yeah, this one is going to be just sent out the old-fashioned way, the way Grandma used to do it. No dominate, no nothing.
Grandma Starstruck. Just got to send it on in. I mean, this is going to be one of those turns where it's like, Jesse's probably like, hey, I'm just going to block a whole bunch, and then maybe I'll Anothos you. Or maybe I'll play whatever I put in my arsenal here. Likely a defense reaction, but...
Whoa, but he's giving up 2 Macho Grandes here. Are those red Machos?
Double Macho Man.
Double Macho Man. I don't think it's a red one. I can't quite see clearly here, but if it's a red one, that is a little bit of a spicy tech, and that is a 10 dominate built in, and maybe that's what you're leaning on the tunic for. 2 blues, a Macho with the tunic, that's 10 dominate, and again, against these defensive mirrors, you need to find ways to guarantee that the damage will be, passing through. It'll find an avenue to connect.
Speaking of which, here's this Command and Conquer, which says, hey, no defense reactions from you, which we've seen a lot of defense reactions here, so this could be an awkward attack. We do see some defense reactions, like the staunch response in Jesse's hand. There's a likely chance that there's a defense reaction in Arsenal too.
So here's the issue: is that in his hand he's got the E strike. He also has, if I'm not mistaken, a Rouse the Ancients, which only blocks for 2, and then 2 D reacts. So out of the box, you can only block for 5. This might be a situation where you find the Iron Rots, or he might just give him a load of equipment here. Or the other option here is the Crown of Providence, copping out on that card in the arsenal and rescuing it. So
I think it was another Macho Grande, actually.
You know what, Jesse, and seeing a lot of E-Strike, seeing red Macho Grandes, I believe, This is a much more aggressive build of Bravo that might be looking to not necessarily play the defensive game, might be looking to say, I'm just going to beat the living bejesus out of you.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a mirror, but it might not be the full mirror, right? And I think that is definitely apparent here. Though we do still see a lot of like defense reactions here. We still see like the Warmongers blocking with the Warmongers. Jesse's pitching with the Warmongers. We'll see if that aggressive bent on Jesse's deck like works out in his favor. I think this is maybe potentially a good case study between the two styles of play.
Another Starstruck, this one vanilla style. It's still a 10 attack. Now this one is a new card from Dusk Till Dawn. It has the Crush effect of if the Crush is online, your opponent cannot play attack actions unless their base attack value, is greater than the damage done by Starstruck. Now, in this matchup, it is pretty negligible.
Not that big of a deal.
But look at this. We're just going to cover this up for 7, tossing away some of the resources here to just not full block this, but block enough where, it's just soaking up as much of this damage as possible. Now, the fun part about Staunch Response is you could have pitched 6 to full block that. But I think that we are looking to actually do what we see here, which is pitch into Zealous for 5 go again, and then follow up with Hammer. It is a nice, nifty play that you can do 11 split 2 ways, and you're still... The problem here is that if you had Tech Plate, you can create a Seismic 2, but right now, since there's no Tech Plate, you're basically providing change.
Yeah, for sure. It's and we just see another Anothos coming on in. Hammer time.
Well, again, going back to the point of heroes that truly lean on their weapon, obviously Dorinthia is one of those. Katsu with the Kadachis is a very big thing that they lean on in order to just poke away. But, a hero like Bravo on Anothos, that is where a significant amount of the heavy lifting is going to be done in one way or another. Either you're peeling cards out of your opponent's hand or you're connecting for damage, which we see right here is Jesse Hudak at 22. Again, round 2 here of the National Championships.
Here we go. This Awaken the Ancients is going to be coming in with 7 go again, which is pretty nice. His hand is completely on the board here, but he's threatening a follow-up.
7
potentially.
7 go again, flashing the cards. So Nicholas Santa on the receiving end of Rouse the Ancients here for 7, but he also knows what's around the bend, which is there's a Command and Conquer, I believe, in his hand.
What color is the other card?
The other card, as it's most likely going to be, it's a blue Thunderquake.
Okay.
So, he's opting in this case to actually swing with the Nothos. He had an opportunity here to actually threaten the Arsenal, but, if Nicholas is purely on the defensive here, he may have, Jesse had the opportunity to send the Command and Conquer and circumvent the Sink Below that was tossed in front of the Hammer here, but he's going to just hedge his bets, toss the card in the Arsenal here.
Yeah, it looks like Nicholas's turn is just going to be very simple. I'm just going to activate my Tech Plating, get a Seismic Surge, and then pass on up, which is a great tempo swing for Jesse, even though he's at a little bit lower life. This tempo swing could be a big deal if he's able to keep up the momentum.
Oh! Kaboom! And this is massive, too, because if you think about it...
It's a pummel.
Yeah, and it's going to get covered up here by the Staunch Response, and Nick knows that there's going to be a Command and Conquer coming away, so that Staunch Response is, frankly, I don't want to say useless, but
he's just going to play the instant from his arsenal.
Yeah, why not? All right, no threat either way. It's just... Okay, so back and forth. The life totals here are full-on yo-yoing back and forth, up and down.
I will note that it did take Nicholas's entire hand, so the tempo is still all on Jesse. So he's able to follow this up with with the advantage here. Going to start off with a Command or Enlightened Strike, and this is going to be a go again.
Tossing in another Warmonger's Diplomacy, a card that is frankly
not great in this matchup.
Not really, but Alta, it's a 3. It's a blue that blocks 3. Can't be mad about that. Hey, Enlightened Strike ×2. 5 go again into the 7. Going to block 6 out of this. Going to take as little damage here as possible, but we are chipping away. Both players, keep in mind, I think both players have gained at least 6 apiece, if not more. Nick Santa at 22 is just going to be content here to toss an Anothos.
Yeah, and both players are still sitting on quite a fridge of equipment, especially with Nicholas, who's got like his whole suite. He's got the full fridge, where Jesse has like he's got like a mini fridge going on there.
Yeah, but that one isn't filled with M&Ms that cost $11.
Oh, like the ones here in Vegas. So here we have just another good old Thunderquake coming in. If this is a red, it's what 10 coming in?
It is red, and
nothing.
I'm starting to see a little bit of what Jesse's trying to do, which is put in more hefty attacks, find more of the red value, and the utilization here of the tunic, I'm kind of starting to see a little bit of the logic, because if you're putting in more red attacks like E-Strike, like Red Thunderquake, because we may have seen some of those red Macho Grandes as well, what you're doing is you're disturbing that fine balance of blues and reds that become difficult for a Bravo player to have consistent turns. Nothing is worse than a Bravo player drawing 3 reds and a blue, but the utilization here is of the tunic is that if you're going to go heavier into the reds, if you do have heavy red hands, you can always lean on a tunic to shore up what you might be missing.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting call. Yeah, and I think you're definitely right in regards to leaning more into like the red heavy stuff. I mean, like drawing, like you said, what's worse than drawing 3 reds and a blue? What's drawing 4 reds? That would be the worst. And here we just have a Bravo activation for no value other than to just have the cards in pitch zone to get that +2 for the Anothos there.
Tossing in a Crippling Crush, though, that's a very coveted piece here. It might be a situation where, oh, he had another one as well. All right.
It is all Crippling Crush in his hand, right?
Anothos 4-6. Jesse Hudak at 21 here. If you're wondering why they're going at light speed, well, this is our second feature match. We're catching up to the live aspect here, but we are happy to bring you all the coverage at the National Championships in Las Vegas, presented by SCG. Having a great time here, Kel, honestly, and I know that people might be cringing at the fact that there's a Bravo mirror, but too bad I chose it.
Blame Flick. I still think it's pretty interesting here. With like Lexi, the talk of the town, I do like seeing all of the other heroes that are kind of floating around like the discussed top spots. I don't think Bravo is like argued to be like the best deck, but I think.
Who are you asking, Kel?
That's true. That's true.
Who are you asking?
What I'm saying is, I think it's in discussion for among the top, right? And I think I like featuring stuff like this, so it's not all just like Lexi all day long. We do see other heroes that are,
Kellen,
relevant, I would say.
Your diplomatic response disgusts me. Absolutely disgusts me. So again, I just want to also let everybody know that when we were picking the second feature match here, I knew that Jesse was on Bravo. We were not sure what Nicholas Santa was on. I was not aware that it was a Bravo mirror, but still, I am happy to bring it to you. It's a staunch response.
Good response.
It was a staunchable response, frankly, and what a timing for it as it just gets tossed in front here, I believe, for a significant amount of block. And keep in mind, Nicholas Santa is leaning on an entire kit, a wardrobe of protection. You have the 2 from the Crown of Providence. You have the 2+1 from the Tech Blade, 2+1 from Crater Fist, and you got the boots. So lots of protection still available here for Nicholas Santa.
We're actually seeing a lot of Iron Rot today at U.S. Nationals, which is great. Seeing these cards from Welcome to Wraith that have been around since the start, especially like these little plucky little Iron Rot boots, right? That people would have written off a long time ago. They still have a place here. You want to block with your boots, and these are the ones that block, right? And so, yeah, what I really like about this match, by the way, is like it is like this, chip damage here and there, kind of like this slow grind down, and the players have like these really big plays where it's like, dominate, crippling crush, and speaking of which, dominate, crippling crush, and it's like immediately answered by these defense reactions that are so beefy that they can just be like, hey, guess what? I don't have to deal with this crush effect. I mean, I'll take a little bit of damage here or there, but
the timing has been exquisite on both sides of the field. I wish I had this kind of timing.
No whiffs. It's just they got it, right?
They got it, get it good, and here comes Bravo again. It's funny because, again, you want an outlet in order to pitch to bring the Anothos up to 6, and it's just funny because it's Bravo who just puffs out of his chest and then swings for the fences with that 6-spot hammer here.
Gonna leak a little bit of damage, leaking 3.
Progress, baby, progress.
Hey, like it's a lot of damage in this match, right? Like 3 is a big chunk. When like most turns are like chipping 1 here or there, 3 is pretty good. Here we have another Warmongers getting blocked. This is like a pitch block card for this matchup for sure. Like no one's ever going to play this.
It's so terrible. Nobody wants it. Bring the prices down so I can go buy some.
Yeah, right. I need them for my Bravo deck. Hey, look, another Starstruck, another card that doesn't have a lot of on-hit value in this matchup, but it's still like double-digit numbers.
It's a 10, and that's what you're looking to do here. And it's funny because when you talk about breakpoints, in a lot of other matchups, your breakpoints are 4 or 7. In Bravo, your breakpoint is like 10. Like, that's where you got to be thinking here.
To be fair, when you break it down, like 10 is a pretty like good breakpoint too. I mean, it's a big number, obviously, but if you're playing against someone who has a lot of block 3s, that's more than 3 cards, unless you're doing a defense reaction, which is very common, let's be honest. Like, I don't know the percentage of the defense reactions to, attacks and non-attacks, but it's got to be, like, a lot, right?
Starstruck still on the stack here. This might be the first sort of pause in the action as Nicholas Santa is going to be
fridge.
Yeah, thrown in front of it, and that must mean that Nicholas Santa has the ingredients for a nasty recipe on the clapback. Jesse Hudak down to 11. Nicholas Santa at 7 as well here. He's given up the equipment, the first utilization of the equipment too.
Yeah, you mean you don't need the fridge when you already have all the ingredients on the table, right?
Precisely, yeah. He's messing with the pots and pans and threw him right in front of that massive Starstruck. And all right, well,
okay,
hammer.
I'm seeing a hammer. I'm seeing 2 resources floating, card in hand.
Yeah,
this is my like grin on your face. Yeah, maybe I have a pummel in my hand. Maybe I don't.
Well, the reach on this hammer is 10, so Jesse can go down to 1 if he gets caught here. But does he want to? That means that Bravo can just dominate an attack and finish the game. Keep in mind, we're probably coming back up on those Macho Grandes that were pitched earlier by Nicholas Santa. And he's saying, all right, okay, sometimes there's a mind game involved here. Not to mention, if your opponent is going to try to respect a pummel in hand by over-blocking to protect life total, you just pocket it and you let him make the same kind of scared play later.
I mean, like, you can definitely juke the pummel, too. Like, it could be, like, not a pummel. It could be just a D-react or something. But, like, getting into their mind about it, I think, has value, right? And they're like, is it a pummel? Is it not a pummel? I think it's relevant.
That should be a game show. Is this a pummel?
Show that pummel.
Show me the potato salad. No, all right.
Yeah.
So we're blocking out here with a 5, taking 1 here.
Big block,
again.
yeah.
Yeah, and Movable gets a bonus if played out of Arsenal, but those blues are basically pitch fodder. Nice little de-reacted case. But all right, let's go back to work here. Pitch, seismic, pitch, hammer. And there's that Macho Grande that's getting tossed around here. 2 floating again. Now you got to worry about the pummel time, because now you're in a situation where if you disrespect this, unless you have a D-react in hand, you are in trouble.
Could be lethal, right? A red pummel is additional 4. Nothing's coming in for 6. The math is good. Let's just say the math is good. And I do love this. Like, even if it's not a pummel, I still really love this because it still telegraphs the pummel, right?
All right, those are that's John Cena twice, and we're here again. So no resolution yet on who won that match. We'll let you know ASAP. But we're gonna get back there. We just wanted to show you what's going on over here. Did you see the furniture? It's incredible.
Incredible
Beautiful.
Chairs. So, does he have the pummel? Do you think that's a pummel? He telegraphed it 2 turns in a row, right? It's a clear telegraph, right? A pummelable attack with 2 floating resources just sitting with the card. It's very cheeky.
And we're going to fast forward to what's going on right now, which is 1-1. I have been here. I have lived this. It is hell, ladies and gentlemen, as it looks like Jesse's already calling an Uber.
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like the match is over. It was 1-1.
My guess is Bravo won that significantly, frankly. But ultimately, these Bravo matchups come down to, technicality and who can basically manage their resource best, cover break points. And frankly, it comes down to a point where, like you mentioned, when they throw the big haymaker at you, you got to have the staunch. You got to have the sauce for it.
Yeah, and if you don't have it, then you just not die on the spot, but maybe in this case you do, right? If they had a big haymaker and then no D-react to answer it, it could have just ended the game. We saw the life totals be at 1-1 at the end, and so like any point of dominate, chip damage, or anything like that, easily to close out the game.
Yeah, well, you don't have the backup plan that Oldham used to have of D-React off of the card text itself, Crown of Seeds, this, that, the other thing. Bravos eventually do succumb to, their own secret recipe of dominates and pummels and such. And frankly, how much work did those hammers do? Those Anathoses were actually swinging big and connecting and chipping away slow and steady.
Those Anothai, they were beaten and battered that game. It's just like, it's hammer time all the time.
Oh, I love it. It's like, when you're going to buy a card, it's like, lightly played. Yeah, right. Get out of here.
Heavy played.
Yeah, it's absolutely heavy played. I can actually see the Scotch tape keeping this thing together.
In the truest sense of the word, heavy played. It's just like, I play this, I activate this card like once every couple minutes. That's how much I play this.
Oh, they look like Mr. Burns' teddy bear Bobo. Just torn to shreds. All right, so we are going to get you the information about who won that backup match in a heartbeat here, but the action is hot. It's heavy. There's all kinds of great people here. About 500 and change playing in this tournament today.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a calling tomorrow, a PTI going on today. It is a great day for Flesh and Blood.
Yep, tons of events, side events. We have UPF, we have artists, we have Mark Poole and Steve Argyle. Just a great time here at US Nats in Vegas.
It was great, and everybody more or less is staying here at the Westgate in Las Vegas. So I got here on Wednesday. I was just perusing around, deciding which slot machine wanted to bankrupt me, and I walked past players that are just jamming draft pods, and I think it was yesterday there were 8 full pods going.
Yeah.
Eight full pods going in the lobby in the sportsbook area. There was not only that, there was also teammates of the players drafting who were overlooking, studying, discussing. Plus there was maybe about a close to a dozen CC matches happening all at the same time, to the point where there were standard casino goers that were walking by thinking that we were just rolling poker games. And they're like, what's going on? What's the action here? What's the buy-in? We're like, we don't want to get in trouble, so we're just telling you it's Flesh and Blood, and you're more than welcome to come in and watch, and we'll teach you. But no, they were just ready to throw down.
I will say very quickly, it's kind of a surreal experience. If you've never been to one of these big events, it's so awesome to just walk around and see everyone just playing Flesh and Blood. If you're a fan of Flesh and Blood, I think it's more than worth it to make it out to one of these events. Even if you're not playing in the main event, even if you're just doing side events, UPF, calling, or whatever, it's just an awesome experience. It's like your locals on steroids, right? It's just like everyone is playing Flesh and Blood, just at random tables. You go to one of the restaurants, people are playing Flesh and Blood. It's such an awesome thing.
So the result of the previous match that we were catching up on, the winner was Jesse Hudak, won. And again, it might be off the back of some of those heftier red attacks that we saw him put in those decks. The red Thunderquakes, the E-Strikes, I think there were some red Macho Grandes in there as well, which does get you past the finish line in certain cases.
So it seems like the Phantom Pummel did not get there.
Didn't quite get there. All right, so 2 rounds in the books, Kel. The Nationals here in Las Vegas.